Good morning students. Today I am here to present to you board exam preparation series. In this series we are going to discuss each chapter in detail, try to understand the concept hidden and solve the NCERT textbook questions as well as exemplar questions so that the chapter comes in our fingertips. Then we will discuss some questions based on the latest pattern of examination. You can get a brief idea about the latest syllabus and pattern of examination by watching my previous video whose link is provided in the description. Trust me, I will provide you quality content which for sure is going to boost your preparation and increase your marks. So please do like, share, subscribe as it encourages to work harder, and please don't forget to comment your doubts in the comment section. So let's start our class. Our class with the first chapter, that is some basic concepts of chemistry. This is a very important chapter as all the basic concepts are hidden in this chapter. So let us briefly discuss the chapter. The first important topic that comes in this chapter is matter. Now what is matter? Anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. See students, whenever you write the exam, the evaluator will not have the time to read each and every sentence that you write in the answer script. So what he does is, he searches for the main keywords that he requires for assigning the marks. So in that point of view, we are going to learn. So suppose in the examination, if the definition of matter is asked, what is the definition of matter? Anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. The key words in these are mass and occupies space. He will not read the complete sentence. Anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. He will not read this entire sentence. He will search only for these two terms, that is mass and occupies space. If he finds these two terms in your answer, you will get the complete mark assigned for this definition. Okay? So repeat with me, what is matter? Anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. Okay? So everything around us, such as a book, a pen, a pencil, water, air, all these things, if you observe, each of them has two things in common, that is mass. They all have mass and they all occupy space. Hence, they are all examples of matter. Okay, so anything which has mass and occupies space is called matter. Now we know the definition of matter. Let's move into the next topic. The next topic is the states of matter. Matter exists in mainly three physical states. So based on the physical state, matter is mainly of three types. What are they? Solids, liquids and gases. Based on the physical state, matter is mainly of three types: a solid, liquid and gas. Now let us see what is solid, what is a liquid and what is a gas. This is an example of solid. This is an example of a liquid. And this one is the example of a gas. So from the pictures, it is very much clear that in solids, how are the particles in solid? They are very close to each other. How are they? They are very close to each other. There is no freedom of movement. Very important. There is no freedom of movement. Now compare solid and liquid. Are they packed as close as in solid? No. They are close to each other but loosely packed. How are they packed? Loosely packed. And there is some freedom of movement. There is some freedom of movement. Okay. Now look into the gases. How are the particles in the gases? The particles are far apart from each other. Okay. The particles are farthest in gases. They are closest in solids and farthest in gases. They are very far apart from each other. The freedom of movement is very high. The freedom of movement is very high. They move very fast. Actually, they occupy the entire space that is available to them. Did you understand? So in solids, the particles are very closely packed to each other. In liquids, the particles are loosely packed, whereas in gases, the particles are far apart from each other as compared to solids and liquids. In solids, because the particles are closely packed, there is no freedom of movement. In liquids, because the particles are loosely packed, there is some freedom of movement. In gases, because the particles are far apart from each other, the freedom of movement is very, very high. So this is about solid, liquid and gases. Now let us compare the characteristics of these three states of matter. So when it comes to the characteristics of matter, we will study it in the tabular form so that it becomes easier for you to remember. So while studying the characteristics of the three states of matter, two properties we are going to take in consideration. One is volume, the another one is shape. Okay, for solids the volume is definite. For liquids also the volume is definite. For gases it is not definite. Okay, why is it not definite? Because the particles spread, they occupy the entire space that is available to them. Okay, when it comes to the shape, solids have a fixed shape, liquids and gases do not have a fixed shape. So now let me ask you a question. Name the state of matter which has a fixed shape and fixed volume. Please answer it in the comments below. One more question. Name the states of matter which does not have a definite shape and a definite volume. Okay? Please do write your answers in the comments below. Now as we have studied about the characteristics of matter, next comes an important property of matter. Let us see what is it. Now coming to an important property of the states of matter, that is the states of matter are interconvertible. What is meant by interconvertible? Interconvertible means they can be changed from one state of matter to another state of matter. Here we have to take into consideration two conditions. One is temperature and another one is pressure. So when we change the temperature and pressure, the states of matter are interconvertible. They can be converted from one state to another state. For example, solids on heating, they change into liquids. That means when you increase the temperature, solids can be changed into liquids. And liquids on further heating changes into gas or vapor. Gas or vapor. So solid on heating changes into liquid. Liquid on heating changes into gas. The reverse process. A gas on cooling changes into liquid and a liquid on cooling changes into solid. On cooling or on freezing you can say. Okay, this is very important as they will skip some of the terms in between. For example, they will mention solid, liquid and gas, and they will skip off the conditions. You will have to write the conditions, or else they will give the conditions and the first state of matter. You will have to write the remaining two states of matter. So it is very easy, right? Solids on heating changes into liquid. Liquid on heating changes into gas. The reverse process. Gas on cooling changes into liquid. A liquid on cooling changes into solid. So we come to know that the states of matter are interconvertible. Interconvertible means they can be changed from one state of matter to another. What are the conditions that you have to take in consideration when one state of matter changes into another? Two conditions. One is temperature, another one is pressure. So based on your increasing the temperature or decreasing the temperature, or increasing the pressure or decreasing the pressure, one state of matter can be converted into another state of matter. Okay, now let us see the classification of matter. Now let us learn about classification of matter. As you can see, matter is mainly classified into two types. Those are mixtures and pure substances. So at macroscopic or bulk level, matter is mainly classified into two types. Those are mixtures and pure substances. Mixtures contain mainly many types of particles. Whereas pure substances have same chemical nature. They have same chemical nature. This is the basic difference between mixtures and pure substances. What are mixtures? Mixtures are the substances which contain many types of particles. Pure substances are the substances which have the particles having same chemical nature. In detail also we will discuss, don't worry. And then mixture is further classified into homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. Pure substances are further classified as elements and compounds. Okay, so matter at macroscopic or bulk level is mainly divided into two types. Those are mixtures and pure substance. Mixture is again of two types, homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. Pure substances is also of two types, elements and compounds. Now let us briefly discuss about these all terms. Now first comes mixture. What is meant by mixture? A mixture is a substance which contains particles of two or more pure substances, and these substances may be present in any ratio. Okay, so what is a mixture? Mixtures are the substances which contain particles of two or more pure substances. These substances may be present in any ratio. Because they are present in any ratio, their composition is also variable. Remember students, the composition of mixture is variable. It is not fixed as in a pure substance. Okay. These components, because they are present in any ratio and because their composition is variable, they can be separated by physical methods. Okay, so we can separate the components of a mixture by using any physical methods. And the pure substances which form the mixture are called components. What are those pure substances called? They are called components. So these are the important points of the mixture. First point is a mixture is a substance which contains particles of two or more pure substances. These pure substances may be present in any ratio, and the composition of a mixture is variable. It is not fixed. The components of a mixture can be separated by physical methods. Okay, and the pure substances that form the mixture are called components. Example, sugar solution in water, air, tea, etc. These are all examples of mixture. Did you understand mixture? Now let us see the two types of mixture. What is mixture divided into two types? I already said. What are they? Homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. Now let us look into homogeneous mixtures and heterogeneous mixture. For your easier understanding, I have defined homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture in a tabular form so that you can easily understand. Let us study these mixtures based on the differences. So if you study one type of mixture, the other type of mixture will already be known to you. Now first one, homogeneous mixture. In homogeneous mixture, the components completely mix with each other, whereas in heterogeneous mixture, they do not mix with each other. Okay, this is the first point of difference. What happens in homogeneous mixture? The components completely mix with each other, whereas in heterogeneous mixture, the components do not mix with each other. Okay, because they are completely mixed, the particles of a mixture are uniformly distributed, means evenly. Whichever part you take, you will get the same components. Whereas in heterogeneous mixture, it is not uniformly distributed. Okay, in homogeneous mixture, the particles of the components of mixture are uniformly distributed throughout the bulk of the mixture. Whereas in heterogeneous mixture, they are not uniformly distributed. Okay, because the components are uniformly distributed, composition is uniform throughout the mixture. Because in heterogeneous mixture, the components are not uniformly distributed, the composition is also not uniform. So if you learn the characteristics of heterogeneous mixture, you can automatically write the characteristics of heterogeneous mixture, isn't it? So that is why I have made a tabular form for your easy understanding. In homogeneous mixture, the components completely mix with each other. In heterogeneous mixture, they do not mix. In homogeneous mixture, the particles are uniformly distributed throughout the mixture, whereas in heterogeneous mixture, the particles are not uniformly distributed. Because the particles are uniformly distributed, in homogeneous mixture, the composition is uniform. Because the particles are not uniformly distributed, the composition is not uniform for heterogeneous mixture. Example of homogeneous mixture is sugar solution and air. For example, if you take the sugar solution, whichever part of the solution you taste, it will be sweet only. But if you take salt and sugar, it is not uniform. So this is the basic difference between homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. We have studied about mixtures. We have studied about the types of mixtures. Now let us learn about pure substances. Now coming to the pure substances. In pure substances, the constituent particles have fixed composition. In mixtures, the composition is not fixed, right? So in pure substances, the composition is fixed. Constituent particles of pure substances have fixed composition. Because the composition is fixed, they cannot be separated by physical methods. Very important point of difference. In mixture, the components can be separated by physical methods, whereas in pure substances, the components cannot be separated by physical methods. Okay? For example, copper, silver, gold, water, all these are examples of pure substances. Now let us look into glucose. Glucose is an example of pure substance and it is made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. What is glucose made up of? carbon, hydrogen and oxygen, and these three constituents are present in fixed composition and they cannot be separated by any physical methods. That is why glucose is an example of pure substances. Did you understand? So mainly two important points for pure substances. What is that? Their constitution is fixed and they cannot be separated by physical methods. Now we have seen pure substances is mainly of two types. What are they? Elements and compounds. Now let us look into them in detail. Now coming to the elements. Particles of elements are only of one type. Okay, remember students, the particles of elements are only of one type. These particles may be atoms or molecules. That means the elements are either they are made up of only atoms or they are made up of only molecules. But you have to note here very important point. Atoms of different elements are different. Let us see some examples to understand this point. First one, add elements which contain only one kind of atoms. Here are some examples. Hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, copper and sodium. Remember students, atoms of hydrogen are one type. Atoms of oxygen are of one type. Atoms of nitrogen are all same. Atoms of copper are all same. Atoms of sodium are all same. But atoms of hydrogen is different from the atom of oxygen. Similarly, atoms of nitrogen are different from the atoms of copper. So this is the point. Atoms of different elements are different, but within an element they are same. Now let us see some examples of molecules. Examples of molecules are hydrogen gas, nitrogen gas. Now how is hydrogen formed? Hydrogen is formed when one atom of hydrogen combines with another atom of hydrogen. We get hydrogen molecule, that is H2 molecule. Okay, how do we get H2 molecule? When one atom of hydrogen combines with another atom of hydrogen, we get one molecule of hydrogen. Okay, did you understand the point? Only three important points. All the particles of elements are of only one type. These particles may be atoms or molecules. And very important point, atoms of different elements are different. Okay, now let us learn about compounds. What are compounds? When two or more atoms of different elements combine together in a definite ratio, we get a compound. Okay, so the important terms here are two or more atoms of different elements and definite ratio. If the examiner sees these 2 points, he will give you marks. Okay, so what are compounds? When two or more atoms of different elements combine together in a definite ratio, we get a molecule of compound. And here most important point, constituents of a compound cannot be separated by physical methods, but they can be separated by chemical methods. Okay, the constituents of compounds cannot be separated by physical methods, but they can be separated by chemical methods. Very important point. Okay, next, the combination ratio of the compounds is the characteristic of a particular compound. What does that mean? If we compare two compounds, the combination ratio of this compound will be different from the combination ratio of the second compound. Suppose we consider two compounds, compound 1 and compound 2. The combination ratio of compound 1 will be different from the combination ratio of compound 2. Similarly, the combination ratio of compound 2 will be different from the combination ratio of compound 3. That means if we know the combination ratio, we can easily tell the name of the compound. That is the meaning of this point. The combination ratio is the characteristic of a particular compound. And very important point, properties of compound are different from those of its constituent elements. Each element has a characteristic property, isn't it? Hydrogen has its characteristic property, oxygen has its characteristic property, but when hydrogen and oxygen combine to form molecule of water, the properties of water will be different from that of hydrogen and oxygen. Let us see few examples. First one is H2O. How is H2O? That is, how is H2O formed? Water. Its formula is, first one is water. How is water formed? It contains 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. Okay. How is water molecule, that is H2O, formed? It by combination of 2 atoms of hydrogen and 1 atom of oxygen. Here we have discussed one property, isn't it? Properties of compound are different from those of its constituent elements, isn't it? Now look here, in the water molecule, the constituents are hydrogen and oxygen. What is hydrogen? It is a gas. Oxygen, it is also a gas. But when these two gases combine to form a water molecule, what is the nature of water molecule? It is a liquid. So, properties of a compound are different from those of its constituent elements. Okay, here constituent elements are gases, but the compound is a liquid. Okay, did you all understand? So, for today, we will wind up here. In the next class, we will meet with the remaining chapter. So, stay tuned. If you have any doubts, you can comment it. And I asked you 2 questions, isn't it? Answer to that questions, please answer it in the comments. Thank you.